I'm excited to share with you today my latest collection of paintings. And this is inspired by growing up in the 70s, where we had the opportunity to really test our boundaries, live with a fair amount of freedom, hop on your bike, get to the next town, and have adventures. This collection of paintings is also inspired by the music of the 70s, and I hope you enjoy it. If you think about that time, kids, teenagers, we weren't overscheduled. We found our own fun, whether that was in our immediate neighborhood or hopping on your bike and going to the next town for an adventure. It was definitely a great time to test the boundaries, and this is what this collection is all about. These first two paintings, Ventura Highway 1 and 2, were the first to be created from this collection, inspired by the song of the same title by the band America. That song always seemed to be playing in the background, whether you were hanging at the pool with friends, at a family barbecue, or just running around the neighborhood. It certainly was a song that was really vivid for me, and I think these two paintings really kind of capture that playfulness and sense of exploration. I also like to show paintings in a room setting so that you can visualize what it might look like hung in a finished room. I also can't think of the 70s and early 80s without thinking about the beach and the boardwalk. So these next couple of paintings are inspired by young love and sort of that coming of age stage in life. It was always fun also to roam the amusement parks, spend those precious few dollars on tickets to get seated in either the front or the back of the roller coaster, which was the maximum way to get your thrills on the ride. And these were just a couple of inspirations and memories that went into the creation of the next painting. So this is Could It Be I'm Falling in Love? It's a 36 by 36 on gallery wrap canvas. And this is inspired by the moments we just talked about, first dates, first opportunities to just really, experience relationships, early relationships. And it just reminds me of those times, where we might have been wearing, OP shorts and certainly like baseball shirts and maybe even pom-pom socks. For some reason that pops into my mind. But this is Could It Be I'm Falling in Love? And it is inspired by also that song by the Spinners of the same title. And here's what the painting might look like in a finished room. Now, not many of the kids of this generation have experienced drive-in movies, and these were a highlight. Of course, as a teenager, you had 2 in the front and maybe 6 in your trunk, sneaking through, but having a great, great time seeing the latest movie on the big screen and just hanging out in your cars and chatting up with some of your friends. So this is an abstract of my view from the back seat of a drive-in. And in fact, it's hard to see, but you can see this when you're up close. At the top, it actually says drive-in in letters, which is a nice little touch to cap off the painting. But great colors, which it definitely looks very, very stunning in a room, which you'll see on the next view. And this painting just brings very cool energy to really any room. We move on to Baby I'm Amazed, which is inspired by the song by Paul McCartney. I'm always just fascinated by the relationship that he and Linda McCartney had for so many years. It was a true romance. They created great music together. Of course, she supported him in an early stage way in the Beatles, and then they went on to have a band together. But it's just a nice song, and it was certainly something that sort of popped for me as one of my favorite songs from the 70s. And here's a peek of what it might look like in a room setting. We can't talk about the 70s without disco, and I'm sure many of you spent time listening to the Bee Gees or practicing the hustle, and you also can't think of the 70s without roller disco. So this next painting is an ode to that. Andy Warhol once famously said, "I love you, but I've chosen disco," and thought that would be fun to put on this disco ball. I personally think we need more disco balls in our lives, so here's one for the wall. As I reflected back on my early years in the 70s, I also remembered just exploring a lot in the woods and spending time just looking at nature and, finding new treasures. So these next couple of paintings reflect some of those memories. This is Butterflies Are Free, inspired by the song by Elton John, Someone Saved My Life Tonight. This is a 20 by 20 on gallery wrap canvas, and I think it would make a great addition to a couple places. Any place really where you want to have that experience of just feeling light and free. I really am enjoying this painting in my studio right now. It just makes me happy. I also think it could be interesting for a child's room or a baby room. So I've put it in that setting for this presentation. This is Build Me Up Buttercup, inspired by the song title of the same name, and also inspired by being a kid and holding a buttercup underneath someone's chin to see if they like butter. I know it was silly, but let's face it, many of us did it. And this is that same painting in a room setting. All right, this is A Horse with No Name, and my memory on this one is that my sister had a friend who had horses, and while our parents were catching up with each other, we would encourage the horse to come close to the fence so we could jump on its back without horseback riding lessons, without a saddle, and ride the horse. We did this many times. I don't know that our parents ever knew that we did it, but it was super fun, and it was just a great memory. And this song just comes to mind in terms of this painting and inspiration. And just love this one framed, especially on a white wall. I think it really pops. I can't think of the 70s without thinking of winning goldfish at the fair. I don't know how many fish that me and my three sisters brought home to my family, but it was a lot. And that was always a highlight being a kid, to have a goldfish in a bag until you got it in a bowl at home. So this one's just a fun little play on that, and always be winning, right? When you're when you score the goldfish. I like to think of this one in an office just as a reminder to strive to be your best and have fun. As kids, we also played a lot of Chinese jump rope. We played Foursquare, anything that you could do simply on a pavement without a lot of props was something that we could just spend hours doing. So here's an ode to those moments. This is Boundaries of Play. It is a 20 by 20 on gallery wrap canvas. Hopefully you can see from the picture there is a ton of texture and line work on this particular painting, and it can be hung a number of different ways depending on your preference. How many of you rode your bikes to the top of a mountain of dirt and down? We did this, we built ramps, we made jumps, we put baseball cards in our bikes to make noise. It was just hours of fun, and the next painting is inspired by this. This is King of the Mountain. So it is a 20 by 24 on gallery wrap canvas. And again, just inspired by one of the many games that we would make up, create, change the rules to bide time and create new memories. And here's an example of what they would look like hung together. It wouldn't be a collection on the 70s if we didn't have some nod to the fashion. There were lots of browns, lots of patterns, lots of lines. Of course, bell bottoms were hot. And this next painting is inspired by the fashion of the 70s. This is Golden Years. As mentioned, I did a little take on some of the colors that were very much around and now very much in style again in homes and art design. And of course, the great music of David Bowie, who's one of my favorite artists. This is a 48 by 48, so it's quite a large piece. And this is what the painting Golden Years looks like when it is hung and framed. Quite stunning, and certainly brings great energy to this particular room. So thanks so much for spending some time with me today to learn more about the inspiration behind this latest collection. My contact information is here, Christine at artgallerybyz.com, in case you have a interest in a painting or a commission. Happy to talk to you further about those. I invite you to keep in touch by subscribing to my newsletter. I always try to show my subscribers my work first. And then for my collectors, I couldn't do what I do without your support. Just huge, huge gratitude to everyone who has invested in me and purchased my art. As advertised in my newsletter, there is a special code for collectors to benefit even in a bigger way as a thank you from me. So thanks again, and have a great rest of your day.